Okay, let us discuss so-called Gayatri Kriya. As you know, we have 18 big meditation techniques in our school, and Gayatri Kriya is not one of them. It's a separate technique. Let me give you an example. Like, okay, we have also Mahamudra Kriya, but this is also not one of 18 major techniques in our school, so it so happened now we have also Mahamudra, but it's like a separate extra technique which, yeah, sometimes people practice in our school, sometimes not. And Gayatri Kriya is also not
any other Kriya.
No, actually Gayatri Kriya, I think this is a very important meditation which is like outside of the main 18 meditations in our school. First of all, let me say a few words about the meaning of Gayatri. Though I am sure that you know translation and the meaning, but at the same time few words I think it's can be very useful. First of all, Gayatri mantra is the main central mantra in Vedic tradition, and for the Kriya Yoga it's also actually the main one. We have a huge number of bijaksharas, bija mantras, but at the same time, anyway, Gayatri is a very special, it's occupies a special position even in Kriya Yoga. And actually it's a part of Rig Veda, but it so happened that according to mythology, but for me it's not just somebody's story, I believe quite literally in this mythology, that 20,000 years ago two sages, Vasishtha and Vishwamitra, they started this tradition of Gayatri mantra, and both of that ancient sages they were like gurus or teachers for Rama Avatara. And actually Rama Avatar was the first person who received this mantra as in the form of initiation, and that was the beginning of this tradition. And according to the different sources, somebody is saying that Vasishtha was the guy, somebody is saying that Vishwamitra was the guy, but I prefer not to go into that details, but just both of that sages, somehow they understood that when they took like a huge number of hymns and mantras in Rig Veda, they somehow understood that this Gayatri mantra is the essence, this like the main part of the message.
Mother of the Vedas.
Mother of the Vedas, yeah. And historically we even know where it's happened. It's happened not so far from Rishikesh. Actually, Rishikesh is a wonderful place, and it's now we say that in India we have something like two international yogic capitals. In the South India it's Tiruvannamalai, the great city next to the Arunachala mountain, and in the North India it's actually Rishikesh. Really, like, hundreds of ashrams are there, a huge number of programs, meditation, yoga, astrology, whatever you wish. And if you take taxi and just go to the mountains, like from Rishikesh, exactly 30 minutes, and you will reach so-called Vasishtha cave. And not so far from there, something like 10 minutes, is a ashram, historical ashram, where Lord Rama lived like 20,000 years ago. So this is a very special area, and that's interesting that Vasishtha cave, the tradition of Vasishtha cave, was restored by Sathya Sai Baba. When in 60s he went to Badrinath, and he was there something like 3 or 4 times, and it's really mysterious event, because you may imagine only the pilgrimage which Sathya Sai managed to go was Badrinath. It means Badrinath is extremely special place. Even if even like Sathya Sai Baba went there with the respect, it means it's really something special. And in 60s, in the beginning actually of 60s, on the way to Badrinath, he came to this place. He pointed to this cave, and he told that this is original Vasishtha cave. And he put his disciple as the main guru of this cave. And in that time, in the beginning of 60s, some group of people, they built some small small ashram with a small temple just next to the main entrance to this cave. And it's extremely beautiful place. Just you can imagine mountains, cave, and then Ganga River. And this small ashram is one of my favorite places. And and it was very interesting that at that time Sathya Sai Baba was I'm not sure, 30 or 40 years old, but his disciple was around 80 years old, 85 years old, like old guy, but he was disciple. Let me see. I think the name of this person was Purushothamananda Swamiji. I can be wrong, but I think that his name was Purushothamananda. Well, and somehow this was the beginning of this Gayatri tradition. So if we take just the Gayatri as the mantra, it has the 4 lines. And the first line, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. And this 4 sounds, Om is the beginning of creation, and Bhur Bhuva Swaha, it's like physical, astral, and causal bodies, and physical, astral, and causal universes. I think the most famous chapter in the autobiography of a yogi by Yogananda Paramahamsa is number 43, as far as I remember. It's when Yukteswar appeared in Bombay city in a hotel in front of Yogananda, and he gave him a wonderful lecture about the structure of the world, the universe. And in that lecture, Yukteswarji, he really describing this like physical, astral, and causal universe. And so it's like very clear structure, both global cosmos, and this is the foundation for our understanding of the human structure. So the next line, Tat Savitur Varenyam. Tat Savitur means that supreme light. And it's wonderful that actually Gayatri mantra point to the Lord God as absolute consciousness, as the supreme light, which is beyond any form, name, aspect, just the supreme Lord as the supreme light. So this is Tat Savitur. Traditionally each and every mantra has its own deity, god or goddess, which like connected with this particular mantra. And in the case of Gayatri mantra, there are 2 deities which are main for the Gayatri mantra, and one of them is Surya, or sun god. And again, when Sathya Sai Baba gave few wonderful lectures about meaning of the Surya and the Gayatri mantra, he told us that it's not that sun which is just upstairs on the sky. The Surya is a principle of light. It's a light which is unseen, unphysical, it's subtle. So that means it's people confusing it with this sun which is now shining outside of my house. Okay, and yours as well. And the second deity for this mantra is Saraswati Devi in the form of Gayatri Devi. So goddess Gayatri is aspect of goddess Saraswati. And Saraswati, as we remember, it's a goddess for science, art, education, Vedic knowledge. And what is brilliant about, really sweet about Saraswati, and I like it very much. Okay, one of the greatest problem for the modern culture is that we have religion, science and art as three separate parts of our culture. But in ancient Vedic tradition, science, art and spirituality or religion were together in unity. In this oneness of science, art and religion appear for us in the form of goddess Saraswati. So this is the wonderful about this goddess, and it's a huge lesson for us as modern Westerners, because we are trying to divide all that. Okay, let us come back to the second line. And this is that we worship to this supreme light. The direct meaning is like Tat Savitur Varenyu. We worship to this supreme light. Third line is about meditation. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhimahi means dhyana, meditation. Bhargo Devasya means shining divine consciousness. So we meditate on that. And line number 4 is Dhyoyo Nach Prachodayat. This is our request to the Supreme Divine Lord about very interesting thing. We asking to purify our intellect so we can see the truth. It's very interesting, because you see, in Gayatri Mantra we are not asking for money and health. But we even not asking for enlightenment. We asking to purify our intellect. And that's brilliant, because actually intellect is one of the most basic tool. It's a basic tool for the self-inquiry and spirituality. Exactly, intellect, or in Sanskrit we call it buddhi, is the main tool. So it means if we ask, I want enlightenment, nobody knows what it is. But the very practical thing about Gayatri Mantra, the request itself is wonderful, to purify intellect. Because if intellect is in a pure state, that intellect naturally may express viveka. Viveka means divine discrimination between true and untrue, reality and illusion. And if intellect is pure, then immediately we can see what does mean truth. So one more thing is really important about Gayatri Mantra, that if we as a spiritual practitioners just practice small mantras, small pujas, it's not spirituality at all. We're just But spirituality begins with a buddhi, or intellect. When we start to contemplate, when we start to ask the fundamental questions about self-inquiry, nature of the consciousness, so intellectual philosophical questions, and based on that intellectual philosophical questions we may then practice meditation, then only we become spiritual practitioners. Then let us come back to the main structure of Gayatri Mantra.
And you also said a few weeks ago that the Gayatri Mantra is good for improvement of writing skills.
Yeah, of course, if you do anything related to art, science, education, it's always Gayatri Mantra to improve your teaching, preaching, improve your memory, improve your intellectual capacity, improve your concentration, power of concentration. So it means this is...
To affect any kind of creativity.
Yeah, right. It's a huge source of energy, huge tool how to attract to your life blessings, or in Sanskrit we call kripa. Kripa means grace. Okay, let us come back to the main structure of Gayatri Mantra. There are 4 lines in that mantra. The first is just purification for the 3 bodies: physical, astral and causal. Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira in Sanskrit. Okay? And then second line is actually the stage of the step when we worship. So it's like devotion. We worship to this Lord God. And when we worship, it's slightly duality. Slightly, okay, we worship to somebody great who is outside. So it's like bhakti or devotion. Then the third line is a meditation. It's like next step for the evolution. So it means that this meditation, we start to practice. We meditate means we go inside and watch the Divine Lord, this absolute consciousness inside, because meditation is always something inside. So it's like next step of evolution. And then the line number 4 is like the final step, which is like fruit. And what is a fruit? Is purification of the intellect, because if buddhi or intellect is pure, then job is done. And so this is the main meaning of Gayatri Mantra. And of course I have a lot of more stories about Gayatri Mantra, and it's okay, just let me say that Sathya Sai Baba was very fond about Gayatri Mantra, and in 90s I was practicing a lot of Gayatri Mantra. And I believe, and actually now I'm sharing quite openly in my books about it, that I believe that Sathya Sai led me to be his personal interpreter, basically. Okay, maybe there are many reasons for that, but one of them because of my intensive Gayatri Mantra japa. Because he was so sensitive to that. And in his huge ashram, if somebody was practicing Gayatri Mantra, it's immediately he could feel it and react and just call this person to his room and speak personally. That was the power of Gayatri Mantra. And when we later
you just did Gayatri Japa or Gayatri Kriya?
Everything. I was practicing Gayatri Japa. I was practicing Gayatri Kriya. I was practicing Gayatri Ajapa. Japa. I was practicing Gayatri Likhita Japa, means writing in Sanskrit. And Ajapa means to practice Gayatri Mantra together with pranayama.
So you was Gayatri Mantra.
So I was, really always with Gayatri vibration at that time, and I want to repeat, even now, this is my favorite mantra, and later on it's looked like not today, but okay, next time we'll speak about lucid dreams. It's very powerful to practice Gayatri Mantra when you practice lucid dreams. So it's like for all purposes, and the self-healing and healing power of Gayatri Mantra is huge.